Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Unlikely Presenter, the podcast where we take your air quote flaws and figure out how we can turn them into your speaking superpower. So I'm here today with my next fabulous guest, Sarah Hunt, corporate wellness specialist, yoga teacher, and amazing keynote speaker. Welcome, Sarah. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm really excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. I feel like this has been a long time in the making. So glad we can finally sit down and have this conversation, because we were just talking about how we met in those wild lockdown times, weren't we?
Yes, we only saw each other through a screen for a long time. Well, I don't think we've ever actually met in person, have we?
It's 2025 and that's still the case. Yeah, I was just obsessed with your disco yoga sessions, which kept me sane. So thank you so much. I'll hand over to you, Sarah, to tell us a bit about what you do, the journey of how you got there, and you can tell the audience all of the sparkly details.
Okay, great. So I arrived to the UK from Canada 15 years ago, and I had been in the hospitality and tourism industry in events. So I was the one managing thousands of people coming in and out, all the food and beverage side of things. And I was stressed, my body was hurting, and I was just overwhelmed. So right before I left for the UK, I started to become a yoga teacher. So I was doing the course, getting into wellness, going, this makes me feel good. And I thought, you know what, I'm moving countries. It's a good time to move careers as well. So I started off being a yoga teacher in London. That was a hard journey getting there. You know, nobody hires yoga teachers on a regular basis. But eventually I got there. And then I loved doing corporates, basically. I preferred doing corporates because I liked doing it with people who wouldn't normally come to the class. So when I was teaching in normal yoga studios, they're all people who already know the benefits and love it. But the corporate ones, it's like you come to them and then they get to experience how good it is, and you see a big shift. And then I started then it led to disco yoga as well, which is a side thing, which is where you and I met. That's a whole other story. Yeah. That's basically blending my two sides, you know, the on the mat Sarah and off the mat Sarah. I was a yoga teacher, but I felt conflicted because I'm like, well, I like pizza and wine and dancing, and I feel like I have to fit in to be this stereotypical yoga teacher. 15 years ago, the scene was quite different. And then I eventually blended the two. And that's where disco yoga came. And then I was doing corporate events still, but introducing disco yoga to them as well, especially fun conferences and events. People, saying, they don't really want to do a meditation or breath work. It's like, well, disco yoga is a great way to let people relax and have fun and smile, and then builds team morale and also keeps people energized for conferences. And then as I was doing that, I then got into doing more things at conferences that weren't just disco yoga, keynote speaking, chair yoga, breathing techniques. And that's where that whole conference wellness thing came. So yeah, it's a kind of zigzag journey like all, but that's where I am now.
It's really funny how you said that, because I feel like I have this internal battle, less so now, but definitely even a year or two ago, of I like disco, I like dancing, I like partying, but I also really like emceeing corporate events. And it's really funny trying to find that balance, not only in just like obviously I know my personality, just that your personal brand more than anything. Like, what am I putting on LinkedIn that will be authentic to myself and both sides of me, while not scaring off, John, the CIO at a tech company or whatever. I love that we both bonded over the disco sparkly times, but are now both like bossing it in the corporate world. It's great. I'm going to just get into it. I feel like I've warmed you up just about enough to dig into the childhood trauma. This podcast, I think, is really all about hearing individual stories about something that's either happened to them or just some strong belief that they had when they were younger, usually in like childhood or early adult years, that made them think, oh, like, I hate public speaking. The thought of, being in front of a huge audience terrifies me. But looking at where we are now, we've obviously overcome that. So I want to hear, is there something that stands out for you? And would you tell us a bit more about it, please?
Definitely. Well, I grew up in a very small town in rural Canada. And so I didn't see many people. And when I went to school when I was 5, the big yellow school bus comes to pick you up and then takes you away. It's not, your parents won't drop you off at school. So that alone was traumatizing. And I remember my mom pushing me on the school bus and closing the door, and I was crying. And yeah, so I was a
Oh,
very shy child. I'm not now, but that's kind of evolved. And anything to do with speaking in front of the class, reading out loud, used to be traumatizing. I'd be shaking, my voice would be, you'd really hear it in my voice. And then what happened, I was in grade 6, so that would be about 12, maybe 11. We had to do public speeches every year. So we'd write a speech and it was 3 minutes, and then we'd have little cue cards, and I would do it in front of the class, and I got used to doing it in front of the class, and then I got picked to go on to the school gymnasium in front of 400 kids. And I got
oh my
picked on
God.
the Friday, and they clapped and cheered and said, "You've been chosen to go on." And I had an internal freak out, spent the whole
Oh,
weekend in shock. And then on Sunday night, because I had to do it on the Monday, I said to my mom and dad, "I'm sick. I can't go to school tomorrow." And I called in
oh,
sick. And my best friend still to this day says, "They made me go at the last minute." So thanks for that. But I
oh my
stayed at
gosh.
home under the blankets, just filled with fear at the thought of standing in front
Oh,
of the school gymnasium, in front of the older kids. And
can I?
yeah.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt, but I'm just really keen. Like, do you think, is there anything that you can pinpoint, and maybe the answer's no, of where that came from initially? I mean, I think most people, most kids would be terrified. I'm not saying this is unusual, but I'm just wondering, do you think you were just born that way? Like you had that kind of natural aptitude to be a bit shy to start with and have just naturally gotten over it? Or do you think there was something maybe subliminally you don't remember?
Yeah, I think it is just that I tell people what I do now, and they go, I could never stand in front of people and have them speak
Yeah.
back at you. I'm sure people say that to you. So I think it was just
Yeah.
all those eyes looking at me. And what if I forget, even though I had my cue cards? What if I forget? What if I screw up? What if people laugh at me? That sabotaging voice. In when I
Yeah.
used to do more of health coaching one-on-one, when I got to the UK, me and my clients would always name it. I don't know, Negative Nelly or Bitchy Betty, or and that voice was really, really loud. And now that I've done more awareness and mindfulness, it's like, oh, there she goes again. And then you just kind of, put it to the side. But yeah, that voice, I think we're not taught that in school, about that voice. And that voice is the one that is trying to protect you. Somebody I know calls it their inner protector. She's a keynote speaker coach, but we're not taught it. So everybody just thinks that everybody else has it figured out, like life and everything about it, speaking. So yeah, it was just the overall fear of it all. Like, what if something screws up and everybody laughs at me?
I know it comes from thousands of years of evolution and us wanting to be accepted in tribes. Like
Yeah.
there's studies around it and everything, and so I get it. Like it's just in us a lot of the time. But it's funny how some people. There are a small portion of people that aren't born with it. They're the more evolved ones, I guess.
Yeah.
But that wasn't me either, like for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got chosen because you were clearly great. You called in sick, totally understandable. Also, can I just say, I don't think we do anything like this in the UK, or at least not when I was at
Oh,
school. So,
really?
like, bravo to the Canadian school system because it is important to get
Mm.
confident public speaking. I don't know about putting you in front of 400 people at 10, but hey, anyway, then yeah, please carry on with the rest of the story from there.
So then that was it. I went on to university. I did something completely different. Never really had to speak in front of big groups. Then when I got to the UK and I got ready to teach yoga, my very first yoga class, I was always put on the waiting list, as in when teachers are sick, call me, because every time I'd go to a yoga studio, they'd say, "Oh, we're completely full of teachers." So I said, "Okay, well, put me on the list. Then if somebody calls in sick, you go down." And eventually one day I got a call, and they said, it was, 15 years ago. They said, "Okay, hi, we've got a teacher who can't make it tomorrow. Can you cover the class?" And I went, "Okay, here's my shot." And then I hung up the phone, and the same thing happened. I didn't call in sick though.
Oh, no. Yeah, well done.
Same childhood feelings, traumas, those same fears. Like, I felt like I couldn't breathe. Ironically, that's what I have to teach people to do now. So for those 24 hours, I rehearsed it I tried to say it, but it's that whole thing of when you're talking for an hour, whether it be a yoga class, a webinar in front of thousands of people, it's really strange at first to just hear your own voice for an hour with nobody else. So that alone
Yeah.
plays in your mind, are you still talking? Is this in your own head? Is this out loud? What are people thinking about this? And as that was all happening, because I have the
I hadn't
awareness,
thought about this before.
yeah,
I have less experience with that. I'm quite often like interviewing someone.
yeah,
I'm not even sure I've got an hour, just me.
yeah.
Actually, no, I would have on the virtual events because I made everyone be on mute. That's so funny. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so even if it's things like lift your right arm, put your right leg back, that kind of stuff, it's almost at that point just aerobic instructor. You're just telling people what to do, but it feels quite strange, and you're also having to lift your left arm, but you're lifting your right. So there's a lot of things, and you have a class planned, and then someone isn't able to do things, and there's a lot going on. But as soon as I left that class, something in me just went, well, you did it then. Nobody realized if I love this. There's a quote I read once when I was younger. It said, be brave, even if you're not, pretend to be. Nobody will know the difference. So I took that. I found this little, it was in like a life's little instruction book from the 90s. And I remember I took a picture of it, and I just was like, I'm going to fake being brave. Fake it till you make it. And yeah, I finished that. And after that, I never got nervous again until, because that was in front of 30 people. I taught yoga for the next 3 or 4 years, and then disco yoga evolved. But I don't think we have time in this podcast to say how it all evolved. But in a nutshell, we did our first, it was 10 years ago almost, we got asked to go to Latitude. So we were at the 11 o'clock slot in one of their big cabaret tents. And we thought, oh, the 11 o'clock slot, nobody's going to come. Everybody stays out late at festivals. The festival doors don't even open till I think 10:30. So it's, this is going to be embarrassing. We're going to be doing it to 5 people. So at 11:45 in the morning, I was getting ready to, teach the same 30 people. The place was completely empty. And we thought, oh, this is, again, going to be very embarrassing. And then about 5 minutes to, the person who was helping us came around the corner, and we were in the green room, and they said, where do you want all the extras to go? And I was doing it with DJ Darlow, my business partner at the time. We went, what do you mean the extras are empty? And we looked, and the whole tent was completely packed, overflowing out to the back, and people were in the fields. Same thing happened again. My body went into shock. My breath stopped. I felt like I was going to be sick. And I just had to do it. And I had to be really upbeat. So something about the movement, the being upbeat, got me through it, because I was just dancing around. I felt like I was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Jump, jump, jump. And I did it really fast. That footage is still online. I saw it the other day. And it was just going that fast. It was like speedy motion. But I thought if I slow down, I might just stop. So we did it.
Yeah.
And again, that third main time, I'm just kind of spitballing right now, but that was the third key public speaking moment. After that, you can put me in front of 5,000 people now, because I'm like, it's possible, and I can do it. It's just, you need that one little bit of proof to go, look, I did it. And now I have the tools to do it, which is where my methodology comes in, using your breath, your body, and your brain, aka mindset, to calm you down before. So that's now what I focus on.
I can so imagine, like thousands of people turning up for that. People love a morning yoga at a festival. I've still never actually made it. I'm that one that's sleeping in, but I can like hear it from my tent, and I'm like, oh, I'm those people are better than me. My mindset has just always been, well, if I do it, and even if it's not great, I'm still doing better than everyone else that isn't doing it. So that's where I don't really, like, obviously I have nerves. I want to do a good job, but I'm like, no one can say anything because I'm doing better than most. So it's just, I've got that like inner monologue of whether it's right or wrong. And it kind of sounds like what you said, like, I've done it once and it was fine, and just, I can obviously do it again. Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of people would do it once and then still be like super nervous.
Yeah. And that's where you have to really work on your mindset. And the negative Nelly then becomes, let's say, nice Nelly. And it's like, well done you. It's your inner cheerleader rather than your inner nag.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can do this. And the other thing is, what you realize is everyone's so into themselves, especially when they're doing yoga, or if they're at a talk, they're thinking about their own thoughts or to-do lists, all their things.
Exactly.
They're not focusing on, is that person on stage screwing up? that really
Yeah,
helps me
exactly.
knowing
Unless
that.
it's really bad. I'm joking. I'm joking. So now I just constantly see you're at this event, that event, doing amazing keynotes, doing wellness sessions at conferences. Can you tell us how you got into it more on almost even like a practical level? Because I'm thinking there might be some people listening who are wanting to get into that space, maybe not even necessarily wellness, just like, how do I get a spot at a conference? How do I get a speaker slot? How did you go from amazing yoga teacher doing disco yoga to speaking in front of thousands of people at tech conferences?
Good point. Well, I think I was asked in about 2017 or 18, I was asked to come to a conference and do chair yoga. And so I was suddenly on stage. But what happened throughout my yoga career for the 10 years before that is the left arm high, the right neck to this side. That was all just kind of minimal stuff. But what I love to do the most is do the guided relaxation before and after when people, are lying on their back. Because when I do that, it's really weird. I don't know what I'm saying. My eyes are closed as well. And no joke, it's like a voice comes through me. People always say to me
Wow.
after, I mean, you've seen, when we used to do the relaxation after disco yoga, that is a time where I don't plan it at all. It just comes through. What I did was I got asked to do a chair yoga event. And I always like to leave people, like, say, even if it was a 5-minute one, 1 minute of that has to be the meditation, because that's when everything really lands.
Mm.
You shift it the way you move your body and your breath, but the key moment is the lying still, because then your body absorbs it, your brain absorbs it as well. And so I did that bit, and afterwards the person who booked me for just, as the corporate yoga teacher said, "What was that you did at the end?" And I said, "Oh, just that's my unconscious, little spiel I do." And she said, "That was brilliant. You'd be a really good speaker." So I went back and she said, "Can you speak at the next one?" And I went, "Oh, whoa, speaking is something completely different." And because,
Mm.
I've got all eyes on me, there aren't people in downward dog or stretching with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I forgot. I did have one fourth big moment where I did my first proper keynote, and it was to an oil and gas company. And they didn't know what was coming. The person who booked them came in. So that was another big moment. But what my talks always do is involve movement, breath work, guided relaxations, and kind of visualization. So I'm still getting them to close their eyes throughout it. It's not, that's what kind of the difference of mine compared to other things, movement. So I guess that's where, if I need to take a moment, I'll just say, close your eyes. And that's a way that I think other people can do. Telling people to take a breath and close their eyes is never going to be wrong. It allows you to gather your thoughts. So, but back to your original question, how did I get in? So yeah, it was one of those. Somebody asked me to do it. And then basically, to be honest, I did a lot of free things. A lot of in
Yeah.
the speaking world, and it's kind of a touchy subject, but you get asked to do a lot of free stuff. And I've done probably
Yeah.
more free events than I've done paid. That's now changing. But it's like I needed that to get the photos, to get the confidence, to get the contacts. And it's like, okay, for this year or whatever, when that was a few years ago, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then now it feels quite powerful to say, you'll have a talk with an event organizer for half an hour, and then you'll say, okay, and go to talk on the budget. And they're like, oh, we just assumed you would know this was for free. So as when you're new as a speaker, I think you have to set boundaries. I'm sure you experience this stuff as well, where yes, you can do a certain amount, but that has to be right for you.
Totally. And it's interesting because I have done some speaking into like, keynotes and whatnot, but like much less than presenting. I'm very much like presenter, MC. And now if somebody, I'll see like a job come up on LinkedIn to present X event, I'm like, amazing. And then you scroll to the bottom and it says volunteer position. I'm like, I'm way beyond that for presenting. But for a keynote, for the right audience,
Yeah.
right time, I 100% would still do some stuff for free because I still feel like I need more experience there. And I think
Yeah.
it's knowing that. I also know I'm in a privileged position to be able to do that because I can afford to. I know not everyone can, but I don't think there is a quicker way in. I think everyone has to pay their dues a little bit when they start speaking, unless you just happen to have this like really amazing job and they want your expertise and title in. But honestly, until you've done a few, I don't think anyone is naturally amazing. You have to do those
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
to learn. And so I'd almost feel a little bit bad, and maybe this is the women in us, like, oh, I couldn't charge them because it's not completely
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Even the free jobs, but especially the paid ones, how are you finding them? Is it a combination of you doing research? And if so, how? Is it people reaching out to you? Tell me.
Yeah. To be honest, I am not good at reaching out to people. People talk about the pipeline and go to your warm contacts and all that kind of stuff. I do not. I wait for people to come to me, so I could definitely be busier if I reached out more. But I'm like, again, this is probably like a past childhood trauma thing, just with just life, school. Like, oh, I don't want to go talk to that group because they might tell me no. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like, LinkedIn is one thing, having conversations with people, and often after an event at the Excel Center, I do a lot of those in meeting show and contacts. Afterwards, after one of my talks, people usually come up to me and say, hey, that was great. I have a conference coming up, next year. I'd love to talk about having you there. Yeah. So it's a bit of that. It's some people do networking events. I don't do those, or I haven't done them yet. Not opposed to them, but yeah. And again, I was just listening to a speaker podcast this morning, an American one, and they were talking about ways to do it. And they said, just start telling your neighbors what you do. And I today was walking by a man, and he's just got a dog that I walk by him every day. And I told him what I do. He said, I need to put you in touch with this person and that person. And he said it, and I didn't even ask him to. So yeah, I think don't underestimate who people know that you know. If they'll
For sure.
say, all you have to say is, I'm doing this. You don't have to say, please, can you introduce me? Sometimes people like to help each other out, for the most part.
Exactly. And I've found lately as well, I'm really trying to focus on my LinkedIn and just having my name out there. And it's not just every day like, hire me. I mean, kind of subliminally, I'm hoping that's what'll happen. But even just people seeing your face in this space, I've had so many more DMs than I've had the rest of the year combined. And equally, I always felt like I had to keep my Instagram separate, because my Instagram is mostly just like friends and family and like random people I met on my travels 10 years ago. I was like, why don't I talk on there about what I do? These are the people that know and love me best.
Yeah.
Really. If I'm talking about what I do, they might be like, oh, we'll get you in to do this. I know it's kind of nerve-wracking putting yourself out there like that. And maybe when I was younger, I definitely wouldn't have. But I'm now at a point where like I've got the social proof, like this is literally my job. I am good at it.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody else want to hire me? I think, but it is having that confidence. It's a whole separate, like it's different to being on the stage confidence.
Yeah, that's a whole separate thing, isn't it? When you are your own brand. I mean, I love your posts. Whenever I see yours, I'm like, yay. Yeah. I just feel
I love
very
yours
authentic,
too.
very real, very fun. But you do a great job as well when you're on stage presenting. And that alone is its own thing. Pushing send to brag about yourself, or to to talk about what you do, versus if you're representing a company. Like, it's easier for me to talk even about disco yoga than my own stuff, because you can kind of hide behind it a bit.
Yeah, 100%. I have the same thing. So it's not as easy as we make it look, but I just think it's either don't do it and don't tell people who you are and don't get more jobs, or do it. But then it's so funny, and you probably get this as well. I find I'm just posting stuff that I think is interesting. I'm also obviously hoping other people will find it interesting. I mean, if I am inspiring someone, great. That's not necessarily what I think I'm going to be doing. But the amount of messages, like I say, I've had in the last few weeks of people being like, I just love your content. It puts a smile on my face. It's inspired me to work on my website, or it's inspired me to start my podcast. Like, I've had people say these things to me, and I'm like, whoa, like, I'm actually helping.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and you just start to get used to it. It's like something you do, right? And we have the benefits of not working with colleagues we don't like. And there's a lot of benefits you have from working alone, right? A lot of people I talk to are like, oh, you're so lucky you don't have a boss and this. And I'm like, sometimes I want a boss.
Yeah, to tell me what to do. Exactly. We've got a few minutes left. I'm going to come back to the question I wanted to ask you earlier. The sparkly disco side of you versus the corporate wellness side of you. And I don't think there's actually that much distance between the two.
Yeah, they're blending.
But do you ever feel... Yeah, exactly. Well, I guess I don't even really know what I want the question to be, but because I have this feeling too. Do you feel like you've managed to find the balance between the two in terms of your like personal brand and what you're putting out there? Do you think it's being like accepted in the corporate world? Maybe I've still got a bit of a chip on my shoulder that I think I've not been working in the corporate world since I was 21, graduate role. And no one has given me any reason to have this chip. It's all my internal thinking. So I'm just So I'm curious to know what your feelings are. Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to think of your internet.
Silly Steph is perfect.
I feel like everything has merged now in a really good way. So when I'm going on stage, whether it's disco yoga or not, I still have that more sparkly side to me when I'm on stage, where I look back to even when I did my first keynote, and I often film them on the side, not for anybody else to see, just for myself. And I talk like this, and I'm saying to breathe, and I'm very serious. And now it's more lighthearted, more fun, and I allow that element to come in. And even with talking to clients, who want me for a conference energizer or a keynote, I know how the confidence to say, because this is what I'm doing now, is I work for your conference for the whole day or for the whole entirety of the whole conference, because you don't just need one energizer in the morning. You need constant top-ups. So now that felt quite hard to say initially. Like, it felt quite salesy, but now I believe it. All the feedback is saying, why don't we just have you for 15 minutes? The delegates are saying that. So I think that is its own thing as well, just being able to say, this is what you need. And this is I believe it from the bottom of my heart. I'm not just saying it. And so it's a constant evolving. And I now go into calls like that, bringing my whole self, rather than just like, okay, if you don't want that, that's okay. That kind of more business side.
No, totally. I'm glad you said that, because I feel the same. And I look back to when I went from doing the disco bingo virtually for like 18 months to I went into like a very corporate role, which was amazing. But it was like, in my head, I felt like I had to flip a switch. And I was like, okay, so now it's corporate Steph, and I'm going to speak like a newsreader and just like quash all that down. And it took me a really long time to realize, actually, I'd be much better if I met them both in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, like I'd way rather listen to that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And for some reason in my head, I was like, well, these are senior executives, it's got to be a certain way. I'm like, they're still human.
And they see people
still
like that
probably
all
bored.
the time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They see people like that all the time. So you're a breath of fresh air.
Exactly. Thank you. And I just think if you're at a full day conference or 2 days or 3 days, as you know, it's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
If there can be a bit of light relief here and there, it's always welcomed. And I definitely need to be getting to more events that you're at, because every time there's some element of wellness at events, which I'm still not seeing loads and loads of. So everyone book Sarah. But when it is there, especially after lunch, oh my God, nobody wants to go back into that main room after lunch. It's just like nap time. But then if there is some like breath work or some movement, it really makes all the difference. So thank you for everything you do, Sarah.
Yeah, they call it the post-lunch slump. That's the majority of what I'm being asked to do now. That quick 15 or 10 minutes, anything's better than nothing. But when you were saying back to advice on what to give new speakers, or if they're scared on stage, my methodology really works in all of it. BBB, body, breath, brain. So make a change in your body. So it's, even if it's like stretching your arms in the air, interlacing your hands, stretching them up, shoulders back, rolling, just move, because fear gets lodged in your body when you're still, and you can feel your shoulders tense, your jaw clench. So lots of movement, maybe hang your head upside down. That's good for relaxing your nervous system. But breath is the mindset, as we know, like tell your brain, you envision it ahead of time. Like imagine everybody clapping, everybody saying it's good, because that's going to give you the confidence. So the visualization helps. But the breath is the one thing that nobody will know you're doing. It's easy to do, to take long, deep breaths, because that will tell your nervous system you're safe. So let's all take a big inhale through our nose into our belly. And then everybody go, ah. And that one breath
We should have done this at the beginning.
Yeah. The one breath has lowered cortisol levels, all the hormones that you want to balance out more are now balanced. So for everybody listening, take deep breaths as much as you can. It will really change everything. Yeah, eyes closed are even better. Unless you're walking or driving right now.
Yeah. I love that. So I'm really bad at breath work. I know it's something I need to get better at. So thank you. So what was it? BBV?
All B's.
Breath.
BBB. So body, breath, brain. So move your body, change your breath, or change your mindset. So yeah. So it's basically like shake it out, or just anything at all to move the body.
Amazing advice. Thank you so much. I was about to say any last tips, but I'm not sure we can beat BBB.
That was the last big tip to go away with.
That's it. They're the nuggets. Oh, well, thank you so much. I already feel much calmer and ready for the rest of my day. But Sarah, it's been such a pleasure to see you again. We must meet in person soon.
It's my goal.
Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. Speak soon.
Okay, bye, Steph.
Bye.